This week on Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation, it is a solo conversation where I'm going to be sharing strategies with you on how you can conquer clutter in your home before the new year. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. And as I shared, I am going to share some strategies with you on how to organize specific areas before the new year because I know a lot of you had set this as a goal in January, and now here we are in December, and you're thinking, Janet, I want to do something, I want to accomplish something. So I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do before the new year. And there's small projects that may take you anywhere from 5, 15, maybe 30 minutes because I know your schedule and your life is already full and you want to continue enjoying the holiday and the season. So get ready. So, number one, because you at some point in time are going to be in the kitchen, whether you're cooking for family, friends, a gathering, is clear the kitchen countertops. So, and there's so many ways you can do that. So, you really want to think about what you currently use, but also what you'll use moving forward. Are there appliances that you bought that you thought you were going to use, but now lifestyle changes are different, so therefore you don't use them? Or maybe you use them seasonally. You know, we love to bake, but maybe those appliances that are associated with the baking are maybe used occasionally. So sometimes it's clearing those spaces so that one, you'll have more work surface to actually work and prepare, but also that's one less thing you have to really think about maintaining. Now, a lot of times people have different types of shelving in their kitchen, their pantry, their cabinets. So if you got a pantry space, a walk-in pantry, maybe designate a specific area for some of those appliances. If you got cabinet space where you can put some of those appliances, think about that as well. I know I have very small counter space in my kitchen, so therefore none of the appliances are out. And actually, I take the toaster out, but I've decided because it's one of those things. I'm like, oh, I need a 4 slice toaster. Do I really? So now that it's time for me to actually purchase a new toaster, I'm getting a 2 slice toaster. Because for years I kept thinking I had to have a 4 slice toaster because what if somebody's a friend or my godchildren is staying overnight and I want to fix them breakfast. And just between you and I, 9 times out of 10, if that when that does happen, we're going out for breakfast. So think about that. So that's the first thing is clearing those countertops. So what about the bedroom area? Now, I have designated down here on my list the bedroom drawers, but what about those other areas in the bedroom? We have so many different spaces that can accumulate clutter, and we can really tackle each one of those areas within a few minutes. Let's talk about the side tables, maybe the books you read, the books you don't want to read, the journals that are completely filled sometimes, and I know I do it. We have different medications and things, and then we get well or we don't need them anymore, put them back in the medicine cabinet. Really begin to look and see what's on those surfaces of those night tables. Now let's talk about the dresser. What's on that dresser? Is everything on that dresser? Do you need it accessible? Do you need to put the jewelry away? Are there things like perfumes, lotions, and things? Can they go in the bathroom? Or are there items on it that you don't use? And really, this season, this time of year, it is really about letting go and getting rid of stuff so you don't have to take it in the new year. So think about that, but also think about those bedroom drawers as well. When was the last time you actually were able to open up the drawers to maybe that nightstand or maybe even the dresser or the chest of drawers? I was recently with a client, and she wanted me to focus on this walk-in closet near her entryway. She said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to handle my sock drawer. So sometimes it is actually Just taking time to focus on one drawer. It doesn't have to mean you have to focus on a lot of drawers. Um, Focus on, you know what, just say today I'm going to spend maybe 15 minutes on the side drawer. Maybe I'm going to spend so much time on the underwear drawer. And ladies, sometimes it is time for us to let go of some of that stuff. Can you agree with me? Are you shaking your heads with me like, yeah, Janet's talking to me? So sometimes it's doing those things as well. But think about the bedroom drawers, not necessarily all of them, but think about those areas. Maybe it is because of your lifestyle. Maybe you're doing a lot of health and exercise and into fitness. Maybe it's that drawer. Or maybe it is, you know what, Jen, it's been a while since I really tackled the sock drawer or the underwear drawer. So, but also when you wake up in the morning, just like I talked about those kitchen counters, what surfaces in your bedroom would you like to see clear in the new year? When you roll over to the left or to the right and you look at that side table, don't you just want to see maybe the important things, maybe the book, maybe the journal, maybe, some, I know I keep water by my bedside, but all that other stuff can go. So think about that. And then, of course, now we've moved from the kitchen to the bedroom. Now let's move into the bathroom. And we all know that we buy things sometimes to make us, look younger, skin softer, smell better, blah, blah. The list of adjectives goes on and on and on. But is it time to let go of some of the stuff that we may not have used? Maybe we're allergic to it. Maybe it just doesn't fit our needs anymore. So toss expired products. That's number one. And then organize those everyday items. And if you've got a really nice size counter in your bathroom, lazy Susans are fantastic. They're not just for the kitchen. You could put a lazy Susan on your bathroom countertop, and therefore it has your skincare, your hair products, etc. So think about that. Think about making it functional for you, because that's really what this is about. This is about moving into the new year, having a space that is more functional so you can be more effective and efficient with your time and your energy when you're in that space. But then when you have to go out that door, you're not feeling rushed, overwhelmed, and exhausted because you spent like 20, 30 minutes looking for some keys. I just had to add that in there. So streamline the bath line essentials and streamline them. Now, number 4 is the paperwork. Recycle, get rid of that mail, that old mail. It amazes me that people hold on to junk mail from 10 and 20 years ago. Why? Put it in a bag, take it to a free shredding event, and toss it. Get rid of it and let it go, especially junk mail. Circulars, recycle the circulars. Let's move out all the stuff. And as you've always heard me say, have those conversations with the person that does your taxes, that does your financials and legals, and saying, how long do I need to keep certain information? Yes, you lived in a house, but then you moved to your new house. You've been in this house for 20 years. Do you still need the documentation from the house you sold 20 years ago? What about the car? I worked with somebody who still had the manual, the keys, and some other things to a car she had sold 5 years prior. She didn't need that stuff anymore. So think about that as well. What do I really need? And also, in getting rid of the paperwork, is that what do I want to have moving forward? How do I want my system set up? I know there are people who are completely paperless, but even if you're not paperless, what do you really need and where do you need to store it? And according to, statistics, basically, the filing cabinet should have a current year and then a previous year. So right now, your filing cabinet should have 2025, 2024. But as you flip over to 2026, you got to start making room for 2026, keeping in 2025, but then seeing what in 2024, one, you can get rid of, but also do you need to archive? So sharing that with you as well. And also, doing a quick sweep of sometimes those storage zones. And those storage zones Could be anything. It could be your attic, it could be your basement, it could be your garage. Sometimes we, in our effort to make sure that our living space is comfortable, we sometimes shove things someplace where we don't even have to see it or deal with it. So think about that. And if you're moving into the new year with two storage units, think about how you can consolidate into one. And if you've got one, think about what things you can let go of, whether they need to go to somebody else because that's their property, whether you need to think about really donating it and letting it go. And also, is there a possibility that you can make room in your existing home and in your existing space for what's left? So, again, in those storage units, if it belongs to somebody else, give them a timeline and say, you know what, let it go. But then, of course, making sure that whatever you can get rid of because you haven't used it, let it go. And last, whatever you're keeping, can you bring it into your space? And then, of course, whether you have seasonal, maybe twice a year or even once a year, going into those spaces and letting go of stuff. And I say letting go as not in just like letting go and tossing. Think of it, you're giving it new life. What things in your home and your life have been collecting dust, haven't been used, that somebody else really truly could use? You may have already heard this story. I had lamps just sitting in the corner, collecting dust. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to use the lamps, even though I could have maybe painted them and did all this. I am not that person. I cleaned them off and I put them outside. And I said, you know what? I want you to go to a new home because maybe somebody out there does need some lamps. They didn't stay out there more than 30 minutes. When I replaced my office chair, my other office chair was still pretty good. I mean, I decided to let it go because I needed something more for my posture. And so, therefore, cleaned it up, put it out, boom, it was gone. So, think about that. When you think about the stuff that's collecting dust, it's been sitting in a corner, sitting in a basement, attic, storage unit that you haven't used for months, years, or even decades, think about giving it new life as well as a new home. So, again, to recap on things you can think about just organizing and spend maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes doing these projects. And if you spend 15 minutes each day, or maybe 30 minutes a couple times a week, think about what you can tackle and do things that'll give you energy. So, again, the kitchen counters, look at what's on there that you no longer use, or maybe what you can store somewhere because you only use it occasionally. Declutter the bedroom, whether it's those night tables, whether it's the dresser, the top of the dresser, the top of the chest, or actually those drawers. Again, maybe 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Tackle the sock drawer, tackle the underwear drawer, tackle maybe the drawer of all of your fitness wear, because maybe because you are doing that fitness, certain things don't fit like they used to. And of course, most of us, we want to look pretty good and feel good when we're doing our fitness workout. Number three, make sure you streamline those bathroom essentials. Get rid of anything that has expired, anything that you're not using. Somebody even shared with me they had an empty container of something. Empty container. So think about getting rid of that stuff. And of course, maybe using a lazy Susan on the counter to keep things more accessible that you use each and every day. Number four, purge the paperwork. Have a conversation. Do some research. Find out, what, how long do I need to keep stuff? What can I get rid of? What can I let go of? Recycle, shred. Look for recycling event. Look for shredding events, but also look for, because a lot of shredding events now have e-waste combined. So look for them, but start letting that go as well. And number five, look at those storage areas. Do a quick thing. Maybe just take a box. You know, it's December, so maybe just focus on getting rid of one box. But again, for those storage units, if you have two, try to consolidate down to one. And for that one, begin to, if things in their storage unit belong to somebody else, give them a deadline and say, I need this out by this date. And of course, if there are things that you haven't used, haven't wanted, give them new homes, new life. And of course, for the things that you want, maybe there's so many things that now, because you created space into living space, you can actually bring them there. That's just some suggestions. So let me know what you've decided to do. Let me know how this has inspired you. And of course, if you are, listening to this via the audio, continue listening to the episode for more additional tips and resources to help you get organized. But for those who are watching me live, thank you so much for joining me. So, what was your takeaway from this week's episode? What area are you going to work on? The storage area, the bathroom, the kitchen, the bedroom, maybe even the paperwork? Let me know below. And of course, if you have questions like, you know what, Janet, I'm just overwhelmed with the project in and of itself, I want you to comment below. But of course, I want to thank you so much again for joining me. Make sure you follow me on social media. And of course, make sure, if you haven't already done so, you subscribe so you can always get notifications when a new episode is live. And of course, make sure you continue to have a clutter-free day as well as an organized week.